couldn't be any clearer to me that Aaron Rodgers wants out. By that, I mean out of the pocket. Good morning to you. Good Tuesday morning. Dejan Kovacevic of DK Pittsburgh Sports, and this is Daily Shot of Steelers presented by FanDuel. It comes your way bright and early every weekday. If you're into hockey and or baseball, I also cover the other two teams in town, the Penguins and Pirates, and offer daily shots on those as well. Mike Tomlin will have his weekly press conference today at noon over on the South Side. One subject that's sure to arise is the recent performance of Aaron Rodgers, whether the head coach wants it to or not. Because, it's kind of pertinent to the ongoing proceedings. Rodgers, right now, to me, my friends, looks like he's starting to fall back into the New Jersey form that he'd shown through the better part of 2024. And what that looked like was someone on the run, like a fugitive, like under fire. And just as it was then for the other Jets, it's a fair characterization of the current circumstance and the current offensive line that he's operating behind. They aren't getting the job done, certainly not in pass protection, and as a result, he's starting to show it. He's taking hits, he's being thrown to the ground, he's being forced to make passes he doesn't normally make, and ugliest of all, and I really feel he's open to criticism on this count himself, he's trying to get out of there. Like, no. This was the very thing, I feel, that brought Russell Wilson down in Pittsburgh. Russ thought, I remember I used to do this in Seattle 10, 15 years ago. I'm just going to tuck and go. They're not going to be able to catch me. And then, of course, they'd catch him rather routinely, and everybody would be like, what the heck is Russ doing, including his own linemen? That's going on now. And there's no question it's a recent surge in that regard, just as there's no question that it has a lot to do with the recent dip in everything else Rodgers is trying to achieve. Here's a little bit of a pattern for you. If you go back to week 3 in Foxborough, the game where the Steelers now impressively took care of the Patriots, he wasn't sacked at all. Following week in Dublin was sacked twice, but otherwise really, really, really efficient. 18 of 22 for 200 yards, you remember it. Following week against Cleveland, with all those guys coming in, all those Myles Garretts, no sacks. After that, Bengals in Cincinnati, no sacks. But then, almost as if it had something to do with the Packers being in town and him facing the Packers for the first time, that was where he began this trend. This isn't a stat, this is my eyeballs. That was where you saw him at the first sign of anything amiss, just trying to get out, and of course not being able to. He was sacked 3 times. Colts, he was sacked 3 times. Chargers just now, sacked 3 times. One of those for a safety. And what do you know, in those same 3 weeks, his overall numbers went down, down, down. To the extreme that what he did over the weekend in Inglewood might have represented one of the worst performances of his career. 16 of 31 for 161 yards. 1 late and somewhat cheesy touchdown, 2 interceptions, no pass completion longer than 27 yards. Just blah. Everything about it. Blah. Now, can you write this off? The best thing I can say to this is that it would be the right thing to do to write this off because of who he is, because of what he's achieved, not only over the course of his NFL lifetime, but also, and I think more relevant, because of what he's achieved this season at this age with this offense and this coordinator. There's no question he's on the decline within the parameter of this season. And within that, I feel comfortable saying that it's principally on him to get out of it. What I don't know, because of the specific nature of his ongoing issues here, is whether he can. He is 41 years old. He is someone who's taken a ton of hits over 21 seasons. He is someone, and I swear I'm not being critical when I say this, you can see that he's got no interest in taking further hits. And I wouldn't either, and I wouldn't if I were an NFL quarterback. Who would want to get ragdolled around the way a quarterback can in the NFL, the way Rodgers has been for most of this season? He's frustrated. You can read his lips during games, disappointed in his receivers, not catching the football, and he should be. He's frustrated at times and looking back over at the sideline. Who knows what that could be aimed at, whether it's Arthur Smith, Mike Tomlin, who knows? Who knows? But the way out of this, man, I'm going to say something I'm going to regret here. All right. You guys can ride with me on this, I hope, because I'm going to say in advance, it is not some suggestion that he should be benched in favor of Mason Rudolph. I mean, that stance might come. It's not there now, not for me. But I can and will remind everybody that in the 2023 season, when the Steelers quarterbacks were under siege just like this all season long, and everybody was teeing off and coming from all corners, the one thing that changed that season and got the Steelers into the playoffs was that Mason wasn't going anywhere. You could do whatever you want. You could send the house after him. He was going to hang in there, and he was going to throw that football where he wanted to throw that football. And that, in turn, changed the confidence level of the offensive line for the better. That, in turn, changed the effectiveness of the running game. That, in turn, gave receivers more of a sense that they'd have time to get open and run their routes properly. Everything changed, you might remember. Everything. Now, it's probably going to be as stupid as it sounds for me to say that Rodgers needs to find some of that in him. He needs to find some of that 2023 Mason in him. But then, that sure is easy for me to say. When we come back, J1Q.
This segment of Daily Shot is brought to you by our good friends at Mike's Beer Bar. They're located on Federal Street, directly across from PNC Park. Mike has more than 500 beers on tap, including from more than 50 local breweries. Stop in and say hello. Tell Mike we sent you. Mike's Beer Bar. Football season's finally here. Time to check out the latest odds, futures, and win totals on the FanDuel Sportsbook. Think the Steelers are headed to the Super Bowl? Lock in your bets today. Whatever your game, FanDuel Sportsbook delivers the latest lines, futures, and specials, so you can join in on all the action. For those of you who are doing real work in construction, in a warehouse, if you're a mechanic, you want reliable, comfortable gear to help you perform well on the job. Brunt Workwear's got you. They've got waterproof boots, safety toe, soft toe, pull-on, lace-up, whatever you need. You can wear them to work. And if they're not right for you, send them back. I don't know of any other brand doing that. Brunt was tired of the workwear brands out there cutting corners. You work too hard to be stuck in uncomfortable boots that don't hold up. So they built something better. Boots that are insanely comfortable and built for any job site. For a limited time, our listeners get $10 off. Just head to bruntworkwear.com. Use the code DK Sports and you're good to go. After you order, they'll ask you where you heard about Brunt. Do us a favor here at DK Pittsburgh Sports and tell them it was from this show.
Today's J1Q comes from Fraser, who says, DK, do you think that Arthur Smith is a major problem? His desired personnel, his choice of who to play or who to target, his play calling. It seems he's never wanted a legitimate WR2. He frequently neglects to get top-tier talent into the action, his predictable plays. He seems like he gets very little criticism, but he doesn't run an explosive offense like other top coordinators do. It's hard to get into a deep dive on the coordinator whenever the quarterback is plainly right in our sight struggling. We can see that. And when the offensive line plainly right in our sight is struggling, we know these things to be true. And yet there are areas that I feel are fair marks for Smith. I don't like the fact, and I do mean fact because it's a base statistic, that the Steelers rank 29th in total offense. Total offense, all that means in the NFL is your average yardage per game. 29th. Steelers are at 280.7 yards per game. The only teams below them, the Raiders, the Browns, and the Titans. Not great company to keep. Worse yet, to be looking up at the other Jets, who are 28th. That's a credit to no one. And ultimately, when you get into general, the broadest possible form of offensive production, yeah, of course, it's a reflection on the coordinator. Now, I can also look at the Steelers being 16th, middle of the pack, when it comes to scoring offense at 23.6 points per game, but then I'm very easily recalling that a ton of those came off of turnovers, meaning they weren't defensive touchdowns, but they were defensive takeaways that put the Steelers into golden position. To their credit, they converted. To their credit, they've been pretty good at converting in general when it comes to the red zone. Not at all when it comes to third downs. My own biggest criticism of Arthur has been, and I think this stands so far above the rest that I can't even come up with a second, is that he's yet to imprint the identity that this offense sorely needs. If you're like me and you go back a few months, you'll recall feeling pretty pumped about this offense being founded on a heavy running game, a heavy presence up front, a whole lot of Darnell Washington, a whole lot of tight ends in general, a whole lot of bulk with DK Metcalf. That's the kind of thing that in football is intoxicating, really. At least it can be, if you use it. But to again rewind to Inglewood, the Steelers had all kinds of situations. They can, and Mike Tomlin's going to do this again today, complain about third down. No, they're not good on third down. Yes, that matters. No, it's not a cause. It's a symptom. The cause is that they put themselves into bad positions in large part because of bad decisions. If you've got 2nd and 1, 2nd and 4, and I'm citing real things from that game in Inglewood, and you don't run, or you try a deep ball for no reason, or you commit a penalty, then you're not going to be good on third down because your third downs are going to have ugly distances attached to them. So run the ball. Doesn't have to be every first down. That would make you too predictable. But pop one, short one, quick slant to one of the tight ends. Ask the other team if they feel like tackling Mount Washington. Real quick, right to number 80, between the 8 and the O. Nobody's going to sack your quarterback. Nobody's going to force you to do anything you don't like. Boom, here, go get him, big guy. What happens? Darnell drags half the franchise with him for an extra couple of yards, and the next thing you know, it's 2nd and 4. Now, you get Jaylen Warren involved, and you get a first down. What do you know? No third down conversion issues. I don't know, man. I'm a little bit too stuck in the actual season to get into some really intricate conversation as to how Arthur has done. There have been some things that I've liked. There have been some things that I haven't liked. I feel good in saying this much. I don't see him as the problem. Whereas What annoys me is that I do see him potentially as the solution if only they can all get this identity thing solved. I appreciate the question. I appreciate everybody listening to Daily Shot of Steelers. We will have a double shot of Steelers today at 4 p.m. Eastern from our downtown Pittsburgh studio. We would love to have you along for that. And I'd imagine we'd have no shortage of new material provided by the Tomlin press conference that'll precede it. Hope to see you then.